What's up, everybody? It is week 8. No. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes.
I can't believe it. How does this season go by so fast, man? Honestly.
It's like every day we have football on, and it's going. Yeah.
I think it is. Hey, it's Delray Boston here, Sean Weymouth. I'm in the fantasy basement tonight, and we're keeping an eye on this Thursday night football game. It's pretty exciting stuff, and I'm joined here with Radish, like Madish Lee, last name first on Twitter, and we're going to talk about some DraftKings Week 8 value plays. But in the meantime, Thursday night football is really kind of, I think, ugly. I don't know what to say. I know that I didn't think it was going to be a great game. I don't think I really predicted the Packers to have the lead by 3 points, where we are. But still, I think it's kind of another game, and I'm glad I didn't invest that heavily in DFS in it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, realistically, you'd like to think that if at halftime, if the Packers were going to be up 3, it'd be like a 17-14 game, or 20-17, something like that. But to get a 10-7 game at halftime with less than 150 yards passing between both teams combined, it's just incredible. It's incredible to see.
Well, first of all, a couple things that I hit on tonight in the Thursday night preview for Real Deal Fantasy HQ there. Number one, Aaron Rodgers, I was really concerned about it without all those receivers there. Was he going to be able to get there for you? Well, it remains to be seen, but right now he's definitely not. If you have him in the captain, it is a big waste of money. Second thing, A.J. Dillon, I knew it. He was going to be involved, and I guarantee you the winning lineup's going to have an A.J. Dillon in there. Yep. And even though he didn't catch that touchdown, Mercedes Lewis, baby, 1,000 buckets on that thing, man. End zone, man. The thing is, when you block so much, you're not careful on your feet. That's the problem when you're on the end line there. So,
we still got some game left.
Oh, wait a minute.
It looks like Aaron just threw a touchdown.
He sure did. And guess what? It's to Randall Cobb. Whoa. Another guy we talked about. Another guy way too cheap for the opportunity. Speaking about way too cheap for the opportunity, we're here to talk about some DraftKings values. But before we do, I believe the last time I was with you, we made a little bit of a board bet. We did double or nothing on a Millie Maker ticket, which I won the last one, right? And I was willing to give you 2 if I lost. But why don't you refresh the people about what that bet is? Because I happen to have something pulled up that I think might interest you.
So, let me tell you, this is a board bet that you're not going to find on any other podcast, and an interesting one at that. It came down to the wire. It did. I predicted Myles Gaskin getting 20 touches, and he touched the ball 19 times.
Yes. And I think that the actual thing was Jared Goff would complete more passes than Myles Gaskin had touches.
A hell of a prop at me.
Yep.
And for a while, it was, it was looking pretty good. But a couple of completions on that last drive, and looks like I'm taking the L 22-19 here. What a
yeah. That's the thing. Now I do got to give you credit. I was bagging on Myles Gaskin. He actually had a great game. Okay, so maybe Gaskin's back. Maybe he is. Right, he's playing Buffalo this weekend. I don't know, but maybe he's back. But there he is with 19 total touches. And then we have the champion, of course, man among men, Jared Goff right here, 22 completions. Yep. All right. So once again, victor is me. Winner is me right here. And now you owe me 2 Millie Maker tickets. Two tickets.
Oh,
all right.
Better cash them in before I win it back.
We'll see about that, pal. All right. So here we go. Let's start about quarterback. We're talking about value plays. I'll be honest. There's not a ton when you look at the quarterbacks this week and the running backs this week. But who do you see in here that you like as a value play, my friend Lee?
So first guy I'm going to start with is Trevor Lawrence of Jacksonville, coming off of a bye. He's looked a little bit more like the number one, prospect quarterback that came out of, Clemson. using his legs a little bit more. He's throwing the ball a ton. I mean, in that offense, they're moving the chains, and as a result, James Robinson having more of a presence. They're moving the chains. He's having more opportunity, and he's stacking up points with those opportunities. And going against Seattle. Seattle is an offense that last week we saw had a ton of 3-and-outs. So we're talking about opportunity, stacked on opportunity for Trevor Lawrence, a guy who can also get into the end zone with his legs. And at 5,500, he's really as low as I'm thinking about going in the value department.
Yeah, I'm with you on Trevor Lawrence. The Seattle defense did look pretty good the other night, but I will give it to the young Mr. Lawrence. Like, he is really starting to try and take the game and put it on his shoulders and make some things happen, and that's what Jacksonville needs, certainly. I'm not that scared of the Seattle defense. To play Trevor Lawrence at $5,500, and you're 100% right, because when you go in and look at the quarterback room on DK, it really is extremely top heavy, right? You have Josh Allen at the top at 8,100, and Stafford and Brady 76 and 74. Justin Herbert in that matchup against the Patriots, I'm not even sure I want to play that. I think that's going to be a really low scoring game. Do we think that the Detroit Lions are going to make Jalen Hurts, really run spectacular and continue his trend? I don't know. I think that, even they have Joe Burrow up here priced up. So I think Trevor Lawrence is a great pick at 5,500. I got to be honest with you. I feel sick about these two picks here, but the guys that I was going to mention, first one is, yeah. I know.
Sorry.
I personally feel like I felt like you should feel like when you talked about Myles Gaskin last week with Carson Wentz in a matchup against Tennessee. We know that Derrick Henry is going to be dominant, particularly as the game goes on. Wentz has been not bad the last 3 games, 21 points in his last game. Tennessee's defense really came on strong the last time we saw them on the field, but I don't know. 5,700 should be a competitive game. I hate it. I really do. I hate mentioning Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz, 5,700. I think that might be as low as I'm willing to go.
Yeah, well, Tennessee's probably played about 6 quarters of good defense, this season, and they've probably come in the last 6 quarters of their play. So there's a good chance, they revert back to the defense that they were all season. And as much as I hate to agree with you, there were points last week where I was watching that game going, man, am I going to have to recommend Carson Wentz soon?
Yeah. I know.
And maybe part of that's Michael Pittman. Maybe part of that is Mo Alley Cox in the red zone. Starting to emerge a little bit more. But he's not turning the ball over, and that was the thing that really held him back.
Yes, definitely. And I think the running game is helping him tremendously.
Sure.
The effective running game is helping him absolutely tremendously. But 5,700 on Carson Wentz. It's kind of a sad day when you talk about that, but I know you want to go with one other guy. But before you do, I do have to say, when I look down here at 5,400 and below, what jumps out to you? Because there's only maybe one guy that jumps out to me in even close in this range. And I think it's another, as I'm talking about it, I'll throw up a little bit in my mouth. But look at this guy. Look at this here. We got Big Ben at 54, Teddy Bridgewater at 54, Geno Smith at 53, Taylor Heineke at 53, our friend Jared Goff at 52. Is there even anything close that you would think that you might want to play?
If I'm gonna play anything, maybe I'm gonna entertain Teddy Bridgewater.
Really?
In a game where perhaps Washington puts up some points and they've got to throw a little bit more. That realistically, other than that, maybe in the other side of that game, Taylor Heineke, he's running the ball a little bit more. He's getting a lot more points with his legs. But I just don't feel confident. I'd rather pay up the extra, 2,000 or 1,000, 1,000 maybe even to get into that tier of quarterback. Than realistically to play some of those guys. I think Detroit has a decent game, in Philly, but I don't think it's going to be Jared Goff, that really does it. I think the two running backs, which is what we'll talk about later, is really the, what's going to happen in this game. But Jared Goff has the potential with DeAndre Swift, catching all the passes he is out of the backfield. You can catch some cheap touchdowns in that game.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, the guy I was looking at is this guy, Geno Smith.
Oh,
I know.
Well, I mean, he's got a good matchup. I mean, you can't say
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And by the way, look how proud he is in that picture.
Still getting paid, man. Still getting paid. You got to be proud.
Happy as a clam. But anyway, the thing is, and the reason why I'm saying this is I do think that Seattle's going to be able to run the ball against Jacksonville, and I do believe in the talent of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. He has weapons. Jacksonville's defense does not scare anybody ever. I don't know. It just something about this price tag of 5,300, like, ooh, it hurts, but I might take a chance here and there during the game. But you had one other guy you wanted to talk about that you have a little bit more faith in. So jump right in.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Tua.
Okay.
Coming off a game where he threw 40 passes again, very efficient, completing 32 of 40. You think he's coming up against the Buffalo Bills. If this is a game where, you think the Bills just step on their throat, you're going to be looking at another game where Tua is going to be throwing the ball 40 to 50 times.
Yep.
And with that opportunity, comes garbage time, comes touchdowns. I mean, last week, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, not even a great game, only even ran the ball 29 yards, 4 carries. There's so much more to even unlock, to his game. We talk about him getting more rapport with his pass catchers. Mike Gesicki is becoming a tight end to be reckoned with. Jalen Waddle has hit the scene as you've recommended a few times.
Yeah.
As that offense comes together and, Tua gains more confidence, man, I honestly, I could see him even against Buffalo, even in the garbage time, putting up a top 3, top 5 type quarterback day. So to me, that's I'm going to believe in Tua maybe more than the, Miami fans will.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole. He's playing in Buffalo. Buffalo's defenses looked great.
Yep.
But I will say this: if he does get Devontae Parker back, which is a chance he may,
sure.
Yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see it. All more power to you that you wanna play our friend Tua there. Let's move on to running back, which is another I think very top heavy position this week. When you look up here, of course, Derrick Henry's at the top with Alvin Kamara up there. Eckler's coming in questionable right now, which is a concern certainly for my season-long league. But I mean, look, once you get past a certain line here, it gets real murky, really murky. So, who are you looking at for value, and where is your value line really for a running back this week?
Whoa, that's a great question. So for value line on the running back, I mean, I'm sitting pretty high like you are. So for me, the value plays are coming in that kind of below 7,000, below 60, 500. That's really where, you're finding your value that I believe you're going to get that return on investment. But, if we're going down even further and we're going to be talking about some more actual value plays for the slate, I'm going to start at 4,700 with Mr. Jamal Williams of Detroit. Philadelphia, we saw a game against Dallas where both running backs had a very productive fantasy day. I can see something like that happening again here, where they're leaning very heavy on, on their running backs, keeping the ball out of the hands of Jalen Hurts. maybe Jamal, Williams gets into the end zone, gets a little bit more involved in some passing work. He could get you 15 to 20 points on that 4,700. And, if you're looking to pay down a running back and pay up on some of the other positions, maybe that's an interesting place to start.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. If he comes back healthy, they were splitting work pretty regularly there. I think right below him in that game against Miami, though, is Devin Singletary,
Yep.
Who, while not getting, I think, the press clippings that Zach Moss is recently, and all more power to Zach Moss. He looks fantastic. Singletary is definitely still involved at 4,600. In a game that we probably expect the Bills to be ahead. All due respect to your Tua pick a minute ago, we probably expect the Bills to be ahead, and they might be running a little bit more as the game progresses. When I come down here, it's kind of scary, but the guy that I'd probably be looking to most if Austin Eckler is out is this guy Larry Roundtree here.
Yeah.
At 4,400 in a matchup against the Patriots. The Patriots have, not really been the run stoppers that they've been kind of in the past. Roundtree would be the next man up, I would assume, in that game. And it's very famous that Bill Belichick tries to take away your best weapons, and to me that's the passing game with the Chargers. So there might be some room to run if Austin Eckler's out, and 4,400 for a guy who might get 70-80% of the touches, I think is pretty impressive. Another guy I want to mention too that we saw recently on if Nick Chubb is out. Let's see, Ernest Johnson, right? $5,400. If Nick Chubb, even if Nick Chubb plays, I think he might have a role in that Kareem Hunt role, that they need to fill. So I really like this too, maybe more as a flex. But if Nick Chubb is out again, this guy should smash in Pittsburgh. He absolutely looked fantastic in prime time. And like I was saying, even if Nick Chubb's in, I think you could probably flex Ernest Johnson in that, assuming that might be playing that Kareem Hunt role in this game, just to get this guy involved. I think that's a pretty decent price for a guy who had an awesome primetime showing.
Yeah, I think he'll be a very popular pick if Nick Chubb does go out. Pittsburgh, a little bit better of a run defense than I think they get credit for, but it'd be interesting to see, what he could do with some more opportunity. I'm gonna talk about a guy who, last week who I thought was going to really blow up, but at 6,500, Darryl Henderson Jr. Going into Houston. The Rams played a tough game, against Detroit, one maybe we didn't anticipate. So I think they're going to come out and, make a statement here against Houston. Houston, it does not pose a very good front. Darrell Henderson is getting the majority of the carries there. He's a guy who, we talk about 2 touchdown upside every week, and it's usually in the running backs. This is a guy who I'm going to look at, for 2 touchdown upside this week.
It's funny you mentioned him. Right above him is another 2 touchdown upside possibility under $7,000 in that game against Seattle. We know Seattle's run defense is not anything special, and we also know that the Jaguars are putting more and more faith back in James Robinson to help this offense move along. I think that's an awesome price, 6,600 in a game that the Jaguars are going to need points in. And he's a playmaker on that team where they don't have that many. I think that might be an interesting play right there at under $7,000.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we'd be a bit remiss if we didn't talk about as far as value goes. I know Philly isn't the best when it comes to running backs and getting their running backs carries. But we know when it comes to the Detroit Lions, you're going to play your running backs because their linebackers just cannot cover, running backs. Boston Scott, and Kenneth Gainwell are two guys who are both priced under 5,000. That if Miles Sanders is going to be ruled out this week, maybe the opportunity, we talked about 2 touchdown upside, maybe limited with Jalen Hurts' presence in the red zone. But we've seen Boston Scott before step up in this opportunity and give you RB1 type numbers.
Yep.
This could be another game where, that 1 week where Boston Scott gets you that numbers, and again, I can't see his exact number there for 4,400. That's
4,400.
Value. That's value.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not like they priced Miles Sanders up either. You know what I mean? Himself.
Right.
Gainwell is, I believe Miles Sanders, we'll check in a minute, is just a few more $100 more than Gainwell.
Literally 100.
And I think Gainwell is probably going to be the number 1, and maybe Boston Scott be the 1B. But yeah, I agree. I mean, if Miles Sanders is out, I think you could definitely attack either one of those guys. Maybe Scott's a flex and Gainwell is an RB2, but the other guy I wanted to hit on here is I'm pretty shocked that he has not really jumped up in any pricing in a week, and we talked about him earlier, is Joe Mixon. Under $7,000 still. It was a little bit of a down game, but now he's going in there again playing the Jets. This is a great price, under 7,000 for Joe Mixon. I think that Mixon could have an awesome game against the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't blow them out last week, Joe Mixon could have been looking at getting all the touches and all the production that Samaje Perine ended up with last week.
Yep.
We could have been looking at a huge stream of weeks here, for Joe Mixon. But here's another opportunity he has against a very poor run defense. The Cincinnati offensive line is playing wonderful. They are, they're Joe Burrow's playing well. He's, there's not much you can really say about that. They get the Jets, eat it up. Get some Mixon.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to wide receiver. I think honestly, and we talked about this before we went on the air, I think wide receiver is going to be where you're going to find most of your value. Wide receiver and tight end, I think, are going to be there. But where are we looking for value from the wide receiver position? By the way, most expensive being Cooper Kupp at $9,000 in a matchup against Houston. I think playing some value maybe in the flex, value in the tight end, couple value plays in wide receiver, paying up for Cooper Kupp is a smart idea in a matchup against Texas, just my opinion. But where are we looking for value here at wide receiver?
Yeah, well, here's where we see, the biggest impact of the primetime game slates. No Tyreek Hill, we got no 100%. Devontae Adams, just a bevy of players who are missing. I mean, the Cowboys and the Vikings. I mean, there's so many players that are taken away here. So, for me, I'm going to look in the kind of $4,000 to $5,000 range for a lot of values and wide receivers. And for me, it's going to be somebody I'm going to piggyback off of last week, and that's Russell Gage. At $4,200, he got priced up $200 off of a 4 catch, 67-yard, 1 touchdown game. He comes in. Carolina's struggling. Sam Darnold is struggling. He's turning the ball over. The Atlanta offense is really clicking. They've got all their weapons back. This is an opportunity where Russell Gage can have another one of those games and get you great value at $4,200.
Yeah, it's a great price. Great price. Game probably will be competitive, I think. The Carolina defense is only going to be able to hold back guys like Ridley and Pitts for so long. And Cordell Patterson, we didn't even mention, got priced way down after last week as a running back too. When I came in here earlier and I was looking at wide receiver, I couldn't really pinpoint which way or which game I wanted to go. And then this one guy jumped out to me, and I was like, what is happening here? 5,300 for Michael Pittman? Like,
yes.
in a game against Tennessee, pretty much the wide receiver one, T.Y. Hilton's not going to play again. Paris Campbell is not going to play again. What is happening here? So for basically under $12,000, you can pair Wentz and Pittman together in a lineup. Like I thought that was a head scratcher.
You sure can. And this is, again, we talked about, what he did, last week that really, made you look at Carson Wentz and go, man, could that be really what unlocks him is a possession receiver who has the downfield. I mean, he's an all around receiver, really. Michael Pittman is running all the routes out there.
All the routes.
Maybe that's what he really needed to unlock.
He's going to actually even be running. He's even going to be running Tennessee routes. He's got all.
He might. Yeah. But he's a great play this week, man. I loved him. I absolutely love that pick. Some guy I'm going to go to next and going down a little bit, 3,800, James Washington. We know Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be out for a little while. James Washington is a big favorite of Big Ben.
Yeah.
And when he gets in there and when he gets the opportunity, he makes tough catches. I know Big Ben's gone on record as saying, James Washington's the kind of guy who goes up there and makes the tough contested catch.
You gotta repeat what you just said because something just happened and I think it's hurricane.
Uh-oh. So, but Big Ben has gone on record to say that James Washington is one of his favorite guys to go up and make a contested catch. And what could be a real knock 'em drag 'em out game against Cleveland. Where maybe Deontay Johnson is covered up pretty well. James Washington could be looking at a potential to break out. Catch 2-3 balls downfield. And get you some return on that 3,800 and help you unlock some of these other studs that we got out there.
So I'm looking at the game logs here, right, for James Washington. Okay. And he's got a season high at 10 fantasy points against Green Bay. Okay. All right. I'm thinking about a board bet. We can go triple or nothing with your James Washington pick there.
Okay, what do you got?
I'm just let me come back to that.
Because that's a tough one. I don't know. That's that.
let me come back to that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm a gambling man, trust me, but that's got to be some juicy one.
It's getting pricey. It's getting pricey
is right. So let's go back up to somebody who we talked about this game a few times. Laviska Shenault Jr. Only a 4,700 is the kind of guy who could see 10 targets a game. I mean, if you're looking at a guy who can see 10 targets, he could be seeing the ball rushing out of the backfield. Gadget plays in the red zone at the goal line. At 4,700, he's the kind of guy who can get you that return on investment. I mean, a 6-catch, 54 yard game got him net you 11 points, and that's a low end type of game of what he could do with 10 targets.
Yeah, no, I like that. I do think that game is going to be a sneaky one. That I think you're going to want pieces of in your lineup. Maybe a secondary stack, or a couple one-offs. I do think that is a sneaky one. All right, let's move on to tight end. I think that tight end is always a place to find value, and this week is no different. We don't have Travis Kelce on this slate, who probably still wouldn't have been $8,000 even if they did. I just don't know what they're doing there. But we do have young Kyle Pitts priced up as the tight end one on DraftKings at 6,300. But where else are you looking for some value from the tight end position? And by the way, I got to give you your props. Last week, you said that Cole Kmet at $3,000 was a decent play, and he wasn't until he caught a touchdown at the end of the game. But Good for you, man. That was a good pick. Good pick.
Thank you, sir.
Pick.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man, we tight ends is something we've actually done pretty well at, but thank God Kyle Pitts has finally worked out. But going into the value, we're going to talk about somebody who, before he got injured, was the number one tight end for the first few weeks. You mentioned we couldn't stop talking about him.
Oh, come on. You're taking him from me. You're taking him from me.
I'm going to let you talk about him. I'm going to let you start it up.
Okay.
But please talk about the return of the Gronk.
Gronk is back. Came back to practice. Look, he doesn't even have a questionable tag on him.
Nothing.
Doesn't even have a Q. He's ready to go.
Yes, he is.
He's ready to go. Tom Brady's ready to throw it to him. Antonio Brown's on crutches.
Yes.
Play Rob Gronkowski. Under $5,000, 4,600. Come on. In a game against New Orleans, you know it's going to be a competitive game, even with Jameis Winston throwing the ball on the other side. You know it's going to be a competitive game. This is
hashtag analysis for it.
This is the hashtag analysis. Play.
Whoop, froze up.
Say
on me.
Thank you, sir. Oh. May I have another?
You froze up on me a bit there, but I'm sure the line was wonderful. But
it's a hurricane. Listen, it's a hurricane out there.
I get it. I get it. So here's the deal. You talked about Antonio Brown being on crutches. Marshawn Lattimore and Mike Evans have a long rivaled history where they don't like each other. Marshawn Lattimore is very good at stopping Mike Evans. So this is a game where we talk about, we didn't talk about Chris Godwin, but this is a game where you're going to look at Godwin, you're going to look at Gronk to really show out, for Tampa Bay to win, to win this game. But we talk about some values in tight end. I'm going to start with Mr. Pat Friarmuth.
The Friarmuth.
The Friarmuth. Again, we talk about Juju Smith being out. That opens up the middle of the field where the tight ends operate. Pat Friarmuth, when he gets to the top of his route, man, his cuts are so smooth, so quick. I really enjoy watching him when, in the primetime games that I've got to see him. $3,600. He could be a red zone opportunity, red zone threat for Big Ben. He's had games where he's had, upwards of 6-7 targets. That's some value, man. Less than $4,000, he can get you over 10 points easy.
I always like playing tight ends against Cleveland. So I think it's a great call. The Friarmuth. You ever watch? Were you around when ECW was around, the wrestling?
Of course.
ECW.
Of course.
Did you ever hear? Do you remember the Dudleys, in ECW Dudleys?
Sure.
When Joel Gertner would introduce Devon Dudley.
Yep.
And he'd go, coming in at a lean, mean cut. Like all that stuff. That was you. Right. That was you right there talking about Pat Friarmuth. Cut, lean.
Listen,
when he gets to the top of the route, he is sexy.
Listen, man, I'll tell you there's one thing I like. I like receivers. I like pass catchers. That's what I did. That's what I did when I played football. I was a wide receiver. Yeah. When I was younger, I was the tight end. I myself was a pass catcher, so I like watching it. There's certain things I look for.
Yeah.
I didn't get to talk about Tim Patrick, but man, he's one of my favorite receivers in the league.
This could be a Tim Patrick day. It could be a Tim Patrick day.
But anyway,
you did get to talk about Mo Alley Cox, though.
We did.
Waiting for the breakout moment. Could it be against Tennessee? How is this guy not catching every single ball thrown at him just by putting his hand up? I mean, he's massive.
He's massive, and he's so athletic.
Yes.
He's so athletic. Way more athletic than I thought he was. Coming into the season, I really thought he was more of a touchdown-dependent type of tight end. We had Jack Doyle, that was still around. I don't think Jack Doyle is a whisper, in Indianapolis now. Mo Alley Cox, man, throw him the ball. Let's
throw it up in the air and let him go get it.
Throw him the ball. I love Mo Alley Cox.
Yep. Absolutely. 3,200 in we've talked about a few times, competitive game against Tennessee. What about David Najoku, another athletic freak at $3,000 in a match against Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Absolutely. I like Najoku a little bit more if Baker Mayfield does return this week. And if Baker Mayfield does return, that's some great value. If he doesn't, I'm probably not going to like him as much as he takes a little bit of time to get into his routes, a little bit more than your traditional tight end.
He's no Pat Friarmuth.
He's no Pat Friarmuth. That's what I'm absolutely. He's a fast tight end, but he takes a little bit of time to get up, to get up to speed. So, for me, Baker Mayfield buys a little bit more time than Case Keenum. So, that's my buy on that. What about your boy CJ Uzomah? You talked about him last week.
Didn't he have a touchdown?
He popped, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes I pick right things. Sometimes I say things that make sense. But yeah, he had a great game. This guy, CJ Uzomah. And he's playing the Jets. Why not? $3,700. They priced him up a whole, I think, $500.
Yeah, the Jets are going to put 6 of their players on Jamar Chase. They're going to put the other 5 on Joe Mixon, and what else? Everybody's going to be running open out there.
Yeah, along comes Uzomah. Let's check out Cole Kmet though, right? Because we talked about him, or you talked about him last week. I had no faith. You had tons of faith.
I did.
He got a whole $100 price increase for his touchdown. How do you feel about him against San Francisco?
Not great. I mean, to be honest with you, that whole Chicago offense is just not looking great. I don't know if it's so much that they don't have a very good offense for Justin Fields, or is it that Justin Fields just cannot read defenses? That's the tough thing that's really.
Hold on, time out. Randall J. Cobb, 2 touchdowns,
2 tutties
for $3,800 in your showdown. Randall Cobb. That's all I'm going to say.
You got to read. You got to cash.
Sorry, bro. Anyway, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't mean to interrupt the Cole Kmet soapbox.
No, it's quite all right. If there's anybody that you're going to believe in that offense, you're going to believe in somebody who is going to be operating around the line of scrimmage, who's going to be getting the ball quickly, because they need to get the ball out of the hands of Justin Fields quickly. And realistically, the tight end is your best opportunity in that offense. But I'm not buying it anymore.
I swear to God, I thought you were going to say you can only trust a man who has the same amount of letters in his first name as he does in his last name.
What does that leave? Like 12 players in the league? I think we can make that up. I might have to look this up.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk DSTs.
Austin Eckler might count, but anyway. DSTs. So
DSTs.
We've got a pretty good value in that kind of 3,000 department. We talk about the Chargers in that New England game. I think the Chargers are going to come out and make a statement. We got New England, traveling to the West Coast. Rookie quarterback against a great pass rush. Give me that pass rush every time. $3,200. I don't anticipate them having a huge game, but not a game that's going to hurt you.
See, I got to tell you, I'm not even saying this is a homer. I'm just saying I think the Patriots are real sneaky this week. The DSTs particularly. It was just 3 seasons ago in the AFC Championship game that the Patriots shut these guys down. And outside of Justin Fields, Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, they were all there. They were all there. So I think the Patriots are a sneaky defense here. But I got to tell you, man, it's not that I really feel like this is a great play, but 2,100 for the Washington football team. Denver looked absolutely dreadful in prime time. And their running back saved them without question. So more power to Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. But, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater looked bad. His pass catches looked bad. Washington football team at 2,100. I think that's probably my lock and load all Sunday long, because you can just get so much done when you're talking about that low of money. And for everything that I guess you want to believe in Teddy Bridgewater and Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick, your man, and even Noah Fant. Like, they just look terrible. And and the Washington football team at 2,100, I think, is just awesome.
Yeah, and I think part of it is the health of Teddy Bridgewater, and as he gets a little bit more healthy, I think that offense could look a little bit more like it did in the beginning of the week. But if I'm going to take a shot at a defense with somebody with a quarterback who's been playing awful, I'm taking a shot at the Atlanta Falcons. Sam Darnold has looked more than awful. I mean, he literally got benched last week for PJ Walker. Not even, a high-paid veteran, quarterback that came in, or a young PJ Walker is he's just a guy. Like he's a guy. So unless Sam Darnold comes out and wows me, I'm probably going to follow Sam Darnold for the remainder of the year and play the DSTs in some form or another. I mean, he's turning the ball over every single week, multiple times. They're giving up sacks. He's holding on to the ball too long. Maybe when Christian McCaffrey comes back, some of this changes. But the Falcons at 2,900, we talk about spending down. That's somewhere where I'm going.
I like it, man. Well, listen, we ran a little bit longer on time. We had a few laughs. Had a good time here on this DFS value show. The reality is that if you don't have value in your lineup, then value with upside, then most likely your lineup is sunk. And hopefully we help you find some value with upside in this show here and made you laugh a little bit. That's what we're supposed to do. It's Real Deal Fantasy HQ. Make sure that you are reading our stuff, because I got to tell you, people that read my stuff tonight, if they played who I played on DraftKings Showdowns and FanDuel Showdowns, they'd be green right now and they'd be smiling. So make sure you're keeping an eye on what we're producing, because we're producing the best DFS content on the internet. For right now, this has been the DraftKings DFS Week 8 value show. At Delray Boston on Twitter. That's Sean, and my man Maddish like a radish. Last name first, Lee. Final words before we say goodnight.
Man, you know what it is. # make that money.
That's it, baby. See it.